Hey everyone, so welcome back, and I think I may know what to do here, so I actually am going to try and see if I can work on some of my blacksmithing. I've actually gotten it up to 55 already. All I really need to, get was a bunch of luminous fluxes and some lace-strike ores. I got a couple of missives, mainly emphasizing haste and critical strike, since usually a couple of those are pretty nice for a Death Knight. And I found a 210 wrist piece for only 10,000, so I thought that was pretty nice. A 210 for only 2,000, that was probably a pretty nice offer. What I found funny is that I was realizing, I think what's supposed to happen is we're supposed to, like, basically right-click next to the rune carver on the memory to kind of like add it to his memory bank, I guess. So let's go test that out. Now, it's also worth noting that I'm not going to be able to make it from either of these because neither of these go into a wrist piece. I understand that. But when I saw the 210 for only 10,000, while some of the other 176s were going, or 190s were going for 10,000, I kind of couldn't really pass it. So I can, I've learned the recipes to make things like the Shadowghast ingots. It just requires a bunch of ores. And also I can be able to make some of these Shadow Steel pieces, which requires the Shadowghast ingots, and plus these other ores as well. Also, you find the missives, and you kind of add them in here. Plus, you can be able to do this to be an extra regent, as you can see here, in order to be able to increase the item level, which you can be able to make with the crafter's marks as well. Oh yeah, like with these things right here. So if you want to increase those, you go to these, and this can be able to actually it says set the item level to 87. You can be able to unlock more of those to be able to make it a little increase the item level of the item. So let's go test this out, because I didn't really get what was actually going on there until I realized I'm supposed to actually, like, do something. So I think what's supposed to happen is this. Yep, restoring the memory. There it is. You can now view the rune carving powers in the adventure guide. Yes. And it'll show here that you have collected this. And now I'll do it for the other one as well. So now I can turn this in. You've collected all the necessary pieces. Now all that's left is to combine them. Speak with me again when you are ready, and I will create the prize you seek. Safeguard your soul. Now, what's notable is that we don't get to just craft it, we can upgrade it as well. So, I'd like to craft a legendary item. So, click on the rune to get started. Okay. We have 1,335 soul ash. The arm piece. So then you click on this, and then it shows you the legendary powers for your class that are available to put into that type of armor. So for these, it's like, okay, I could get this one where Frostworm's Fury has 50% reduced cooldown, freeze all enemies hit, which sounds amazing, but it drops from a specific wing of Torghast, so I have to wait to do that before I can get this. This is another one for another place of Torghast, where Obliterate has 50% increased chance to trigger Rhyme, and Howling Blast generates runic power while it's active. Death's Embrace, the one I showed you before that drops in that dungeon. Echo of Aonar, where I have to be revered with the Wild Hunt in order to be able to acquire this, because some of these memories we can actually purchase from certain vendors. And this one, Judgment of the Arbiter, must be revered with the Ascended. So yeah, some of these are going to require some rep grinding, but this one it seems tough to get. This is from a layer 6 or higher of Torghast Tower of the Damned. So it looks like it doesn't specify a wing. It's just any wing, but it requires it to be 6 or higher. Increases Phantasma earned by 25%. Looting Phantasma from enemies has a chance to summon a Phantasma demon, which will begin running in a random direction, killing it. Increases Phantasma earned. So that seems like a power that's only good for Torghast, since Phantasma is only in Torghast. Also note that now you can see that it shows the amount of Soul Ash that's required in order to do that. So
go carefully in.
Now to upgrade, I would have to actually place the legendary I've already made and then be able to do it in that regard. So if I want to be able to use either of these 2 legendary powers I have, for Vampiric Aura, I would need either a chest piece or a ring. For this, I would need either a waist or a legs piece. So, what I'm probably going to have to do for the time being, if I actually wanted to go with this wrist piece right here, which is a 210, it's a pretty nice upgrade for me. What I would have to do is, since I can't get those places on Torghast yet, I'm going to have to probably focus on this dungeon right here if I want to really buff up anti-magic shell, since it increases the duration a lot and any damage it absorbs heals, which is pretty nice. Yeah, and that's not for a specific spec, that's just like in general. So I am more than likely going to have to do some running on some other dungeons. So yeah, so this is what I was really trying to get at in the last video before I had to go get some of those other pieces and such. Now, there's going to be a couple ways to go about this, because I was looking at the pieces that's going to be needed. Some of those, of course, are going to be auctioned off for a lot of gold because, well, it's going to be very clear that the market for these are going to be in very high demand. So it's going to be very clear that if your plan is to buy some of these materials straight off the auction house, be prepared to spend quite a bit of gold. But if you're someone who is really working on crafting, or if you have guildmates and friends who work on their professions, then reach out to them. Ask them, if they'd be willing to help you out. If they're working out for themselves, they might be willing to work on it for friends or even guildmates as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there are guilds that are specifically working on professions so they can help out the rest of their guildmates to be able to acquire and make legendaries so that they can get ready for pushing Mythic Plus dungeons as well as raids. So, this is going to be interesting. I hope this is pretty fun and pretty cool. It's going to start off as, people like Preach have said, it may start off a little like, you may look at it at first like, oh, that doesn't seem all that amazing. But the idea is that, you're also going to be able to keep upgrading it. Like how our artifact weapons in Legion were not super strong right off the bat, and we were able to keep upgrading them. Just the idea that we're constantly upgrading and empowering these things. Now, I don't know if there's a limit or if there's a cap, or, when it comes to upgrading our stuff, it would be nice, but I'm not even really able to see what some of the other stuff. Also, keep in mind, this is, of course, going to require a lot of Soul Ash, which does mean you're going to have to make sure that you are doing your Torghast runs as high as you can go for the 2 wings each week. I don't know if they're going to expand it to every wing at some point. We'll see what Blizzard decides to do with this in the long run. But yeah, this is going to be very interesting going forward. I'll figure out what to do. Of course, that's part of the thing. It's like, okay, I see which ones I want to get. I can go after certain specific dungeons, or even other ones that are going to come out during certain raids, or just wait for certain Torghast portions to become available. Like as I was saying, if I wanted to get a few other specific ones, I'd have to wait for the raid to come out, which is this one that focuses on Heartstrike and Vampiric Blood. This one is focused on Obliterate, as I mentioned, that it deals extra damage and has a chance to refund 2 my runes. This is the one where all 3 of the dots that I put, 1 for each spec, can be applied, but it's at reduced effectiveness. And this one emphasizes Death Coil, where it reduces the runic power. But at least I know it's like, okay, if I want to get any of these powers, I have to run this raid and focus on these specific bosses. But that, as I said before, this is a better method, I think, than like, oh my gosh, like I hope the RNG gods bless me today in my run where a legendary may drop, as opposed to, like how it was in Legion, as opposed to this where it's like, okay, so if I want this specific one to help out with my Remorseless Winter, I gotta make, do some runs of Necrotic Wake, maybe over and over, maybe even, hopefully it's almost a guaranteed drop when you get to like either Heroic or even Mythic, so that way I can make sure I get this and then come back here and be able to work on it. Oh, I'm also going to need either a headpiece or a waist piece. Okay, I'll get one of those specific ones. What I don't know is what the limit is. How many pieces of legendary armor or weapons can you be able to make and equip? In Legion, it was like, I think you could have 2, and then you could get the class hall upgrade to allow you to equip one more legendary, and then it was like up to a total of 3, I think. So what's the total or cap or max here in the Shadowlands? I'm very, I'm wondering how that's going to work. So anyways. So that's a look at the legendary crafting system. This is what I was trying to show you before. So this is basically how it looks like it's going to work. So I'm going to have to do some more runs of soul, to get more soul ash to even bother making one. As even though I've got a couple of the things, I still need some other stuff. This is also probably going to require some gold, because even if I don't want to just buy them straight up from the auction house, if I want to buy the materials to level up my blacksmithing, I'm going to need to spend some gold on that, and you can see where some of the issues are. Now, if you're someone who regularly farms gold, this is probably not going to be a big deal. If you're someone who was able to farm up enough gold to acquire the long boy, this is probably not that big a deal for you. But for those of us who are not really, gold farmers, like myself and others, this could be a bit of an issue. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. So, yeah. As far as what we're going to do next, well, it may end up being just we wait until next week when the quest to increase my renown comes up, because there's really nothing else going on right now other than like, hey, just go do some of this other stuff. This is kind of where it starts to settle down a bit, where you kind of go like, okay, I'm going to log in, I'm going to do this for the day, or get, you think about getting something done for the week, like the Torghast runs. Like, I only have to do the layer 3 of that run I just did to, just to get enough to do this quest, and I'll be done with Torghast for the week unless a calling comes up. So, but yeah, excuse me. So yeah, you'll probably end up not. The next part will probably be next week when the stuff gets released to do the next renown levels. By the way, I believe normal level of Castle Nathria will get released. I doubt I'm going to be participating in that unless my guild has something in mind. But I don't know if I'm going to be geared enough, ready to go for that, because, well, I'll just be honest with you guys with a little bit of real life. I've got a pretty busy work schedule this week going forward. Like, I had the day off, for reset day, but, the good thing about that was I had, was able to like take my folks to the airport and such. But yeah, going forward for the rest of this week, I have a lot of hours coming up, so not really going to be able to spend that much time in terms of working on gearing characters and such. But I won't even have time to really work on leveling some of my alts. But we'll see how it goes in terms of will I be ready. Probably not for normal, but will I be ready to show you guys the raid on LFR? Possibly. I'm one item level away from being able to do runs of heroic, dungeons, which I'll see how much tougher those are. But hey, I've done mythic, so I know what it's like. Of course, that was a little bit of a different case, but you get what I mean. We'll see how it goes. So I'll see you guys when I do. I'll see you when I see you. Stay tuned.